Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of TokeAlot with TokeAlot. I am your hostess with the mostest that always gets the stonedest, Terry TokeAlot. And in case you didn't know, today, March 8th, is National Women's History Month and National Women's History Day, just Women's Day overall. So, yay, women. But this year, celebrating Women's Month feels different. And I'll elaborate on that because it's really a hard time to be a woman right now. We're living through the popularization of red pill podcast personalities telling men that the worst decision made was the one that gave women rights, and spewing rhetoric such as "your body, my choice." As a woman, it's horrifying and disgusting to watch men that I once felt I could trust eat up this disgusting thought process as though it's not only revolutionary, but the only answer to the current hellscape we're in. Now, before I get really fucking, passionate, because I have feelings about this topic, and I have feelings about being a woman. Being a woman is a loaded thing, you know? I love being a woman. I love being able to do things with my body that no one else can. I love the fact that I'm able to give birth to a whole human. I love the feeling of sisterhood that I get when I'm with women who feel the same ways as I do. But given the current circumstances of the world we're living in, being a woman is really hard right now because men that I once loved, family, friends, colleagues, everywhere, it's affecting everywhere, every sector of my life. And it's the worst kind of plague imaginable because not only does it affect the men and how they act around women, but it affects how women act around men. I can't trust a man, especially not one that I don't know and haven't personally vetted myself. I have horrible trust issues when it comes to men because of my own experiences with men and because of the content I've seen them share and the words I've heard them use to describe women in their lives. In the past 5 years, I've seen some of the most horrendous things about women on every corner of the internet. And just for entertainment purposes, we're going to go over a few things that I know to be true in my experience as a woman at almost 30 years old. Women don't hate all men. We hate most men. And we don't hate them because we're bitches. We hate them because they are misogynistic barbarians that feel entitled to everyone and everything they want, regardless of who gets hurt, as a direct consequence of their crass idiocy. The male loneliness epidemic, that's a fucking joke. The more accurate naming of the current cultural revolution would be women realizing that they can do it alone. And if you think that this current cultural climate has nothing to do with the subject matter of my first episode on the historic overturn of Roe v. Wade, you are daft as fuck. Like, I'm going to need you to take your head out of your ass and pull it the fuck together, because this is literally what women were talking about when Roe v. Wade got overturned. But no, nobody wanted to listen to us, and here we fucking are. Trans people are not the people women fear. It's men. We have seen our president be openly accused and implicated in the largest trafficking ring known at this time, and in separate instances because of his own vile behaviors, separate from Jeffrey Epstein. Yet, he still thinks that he is exonerated, to quote him directly. Somehow, men still believe they aren't part of the problem. That it's with their divine guidance that we will turn around as a nation, abolish all crime against women and children, and live in an idealistic society. But what's the real cost? Right now, as it stands, the cost is far too high because myself and countless other women I know personally are fucking horrified. In real time, we're watching ICE attack innocent people, most of them families, in the exposing of a trafficking ring that has ties to some of the most innocuous things in our day-to-day lives, and a genocide positive attitude being greenlit across the globe. We are watching actual crimes against humanity being committed. But everyone's telling us that, oh no, we're not having enough babies. Excuse me? I am so terrified for the children in my life that I love. And if you didn't know, I have a lot of children in my life. I have a lot of girls in my life, young girls to be exact. And I am horrified at what I've seen in those files, what has been implicated in those files, and the things that I have seen other men in my life co-sign along with because popular opinion, societal pressures. I don't fucking know. I don't know what could possibly make you want to side with a child trafficker and child rapist, but hey, you know, be that as it may. The files have made a lot of women open their eyes. And we have been sexualized and groomed for generations as a group. The brands we begged our parents to buy us, the ideology of being as young looking as possible being the only acceptable beauty standard, the games that we played and the microtransactions that got us in trouble, all of it has connections to these elite monsters that don't even deserve to be categorized as human beings because I'm sure they can't be. I personally don't understand how anyone capable of complex emotions can be okay with what we're currently seeing unfold in our society. And the craziest thing is that some of us are totally unaffected by these recent developments and the ongoing events in Iran or taking away from the cabal being exposed in front of us, just as planned. While others, such as myself, are painfully aware of what's happening and why every facet of it becomes more horrible by the moment. The Epstein files have shaken many women to their cores, unsure of how much of their childhood was painstakingly choreographed to make them more malleable prey, myself included. And even though it's not easy to be a woman, historically and still today, we fight, we advocate, and as the amazing Maya Angelou once said, still I rise. There are amazing aspects about being a woman, and we've contributed to the betterment of society endlessly. I got so passionate that I let the joint go out, so hold on, give me 2 seconds. I didn't even do my Lil Wayne lighter flick like I normally do. Okay. So, obviously, you guys know how much I love RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RIP. She wrote the paper that helped give us the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act of 2009, along with spearheading legislation for equality in the workplace. The ACLU and Ruth helped pass Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978 and the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974. Ruth passed away in September of 2020 and left behind a legacy that would embolden women for generations. Myself, my daughter, and so many women look up to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And she is someone who will be tremendously missed and has still, till this day, continued to change the way that women think about themselves in the professional setting, has continued to inspire women even after her passing. And, you know, this year we took another really critical blow in the world of women, and we lost Catherine O'Hara. Now, obviously, a lot of people don't really know like the full details of how I ended up like doing the modeling and like all that, but I do remember watching an episode of Schitt's Creek and very much resonating and feeling changed by Moira's remark to Stevie, in which she says, "Take 1,000 naked pictures of yourself now. You may currently think, oh, I'm too spooky, or nobody wants to see these tiny boobies. But believe me, one day you will look at those photos with much kinder eyes and say, dear God, I was a beautiful thing." And that episode made me realize that I would always be my harshest critic, which then birthed my resurgence into modeling and led me to where I am today. And I know for some that probably sounds really trivial, but at the time I really needed to hear those words, and it opened doors for me that I never imagined in all my life. And as you all know, TokeAlot with TokeAlot is 100% woman owned, scripted, recorded, syndicated, all the things. Either I do it or my co-host on the true crime side, Emma the Boss Lady, does it. That's just two women, literally. Two. That's it. One. And when it comes to my side of the podcast and like all of my shit, I do all of my shit by myself. That is me. Nobody helps me do my research. Nobody helps me do my recording. Nobody helps me do my fact checking. None of it. I do all the things. I wear all the hats. I do all the things. It's all fucking me, baby. And that is the core of what I wanted this podcast to be about. Not just about me being like, I could do it on my own, not need nobody, and me. No, it wasn't just about that. It was also showing the other badass women in this community who are doing it on their own. And yeah, they probably have great support systems surrounding them, and I know they do. But when it comes to it, no one gives you the grind, the hustle, the ambition. Nobody gives you that. That is something that is learned. That is something that is acquired. Talent, something that is acquired over years. Just like, and I've met so many amazing women in this community because of cannabis. And women continue to be one of the most underrepresented subsects of the cannabis community, which is kind of ironic if you consider the fact that the plant itself, as far as the flower that we smoke, is female. Like, it's just kind of funny to me because, like, well, here we are, you know, bearing, like, enjoying the fruits of a woman's labor, but yet we can't recognize the women that are in the community. Sounds a little weird to me. I'm just gonna sip this drink though. That's actually just coffee. Let me not make myself sound cooler than I actually am. It's just coffee. But in my travels all over New York State, like I said, I've met a lot of lovely ladies in the wider cannabis community. I met my best friend Emma in Buffalo randomly, even though she literally lives like a block from me in real life. Not really a block from me. I'm underselling that. It's more than a block, but still, we live really close to each other, and we have this whole entire time. And prior to us knowing each other and meeting in Buffalo, we could have been hanging out and smoking together, and we should have been, but we just didn't know that we existed. So, and I mean, Emma, I don't need to go over her accolades. Obviously, she's my co-host on Token True Crime. She's a skilled researcher. Like, when I tell you that girl can find out some shit, a girl could find out some shit. Like, she should have been an FBI agent or something, but then she couldn't smoke weed, and that would probably make her sad. So, there's that. But not only with her work for me on Token True Crime, she's done events, community gatherings, and given back to the community in more ways than one, raised money for Willow Domestic Violence Center. She's just all around an amazing woman, and I love her. I love her. I love you so much, boss lady. If you're listening, I love you. We're sparking up again really quick before I go on to the other local woman I wanted to shout out really quick. So the other local woman I wanted to shout out really quick is Sonia, or Sunny as she's known to most, the founder of the Rochester Women in Cannabis Association and a legit girl's girl. She is the epitome of a self-made woman in this community and uses her platform to regularly advocate for mothers using cannabis, destigmatizing the use of cannabis and human rights. Sorry, guys. I know this all sounds like super duper like informal because I don't sound like I'm actually reading all this shit off the top of my head, but this is a lot of stuff to remember about like a shit ton of women in cannabis. And forgive me. I have so many other things to remember. But Sunny is one of those people that has always been in the forefront of destigmatizing cannabis for not only just women as a whole, but mothers specifically. And I know her personally and have known her personally for many years, and she's an absolute delight and a pleasure. Not only aside from that, like totally putting that to the side for a second, she's a fucking talented ass artist. Like the shit that she comes up with and the shit that she does with just a pen and paper is mind-blowing. So if you didn't think that Rochester had some really heavy hitters in the cannabis community, you're wrong. I mean, look at me. Not to like toot my own horn, but like it is Women's Day, and I do currently hold the title for the only 100% all women all the time based cannabis based podcast in our area. So poops on you, whoever said I couldn't do it. But there are so many women that I could mention and go into their never-ending contributions to the plant and furthering the idea that this medicine is just as legitimate as any prescribed medication and far less detrimental to everyone's overall health. But then this episode would just be way too long, and I would just ramble for hours and hours on end. But if you're wondering, the best way to get to know the women serving your community is go to events, community gatherings, talk to your brand reps, do internet searching. There are so many of us that get shadow banned because we highlight our use of plant medicine. There are so many content creators. So many. It's actually fucking nuts. But, you know, historically, women have been present in cannabis since, like, literally the 11th century. And that was with German abbess Hildegard von Bingen. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but she documented cannabis, spelled Cannabus, in medicinal writings, recommending it for nausea. If you go a little further down, in the 19th century, Queen Victoria was prescribed cannabis by her physicians for menstrual cramps. So she was like, what to be? Fellow endo girly or a PCOS girly or just like a really bad, just like she just had a shitty period. And they were like, we could fix that. And in 1969, Margaret Mead would testify before Congress advocating for legalization. One of my favorite people to bring up historically is always Mary Jane Rathbun, or Brownie Mary, as she was affectionately known around the San Francisco area. She baked medicated brownies for AIDS patients in San Francisco, and that spurred the movement for medical legalization. And of course, in more recent times, Wanda James was the first Black woman to own a dispensary in the U.S. That was in Denver, I believe. Now, if you're partaking in the plant, I implore you to get in touch with your femininity. I always say that word weird because it's just a weird word to me. It's just a weird word. Why did we come up with that word? Embrace your feminine side. Get into your feminine side. Get in touch with her. Get to know her. Love her. And it will change your experience with the plant completely. I promise you. But in the description, I am going to list a bunch of fellow Canna content creators that you should follow that I think are just, there are so many of them and I could list them forever and ever, but I'm just going to list like a few of the local ones and a few of the further out ones that I follow that I really enjoy. So if you want to get further into that, and, just fucking read up. There are so many amazing women in this community, and I don't feel like we get the spotlight that we deserve because we've done so much for plant medicine. And women, as just in general, have done so much. Like, I mean, just, when women just, I love women. I love being a girl. So, with all this being said, I wouldn't trade being a woman for anything. And I know it's scary, but I know that I hold so much power that just the thought of a woman realizing her full potential terrifies truly weak men. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. I mean that in like the way of, you are a weak-minded man if you feel as though because of what you have between your legs makes you superior to me. It does not. You are no better or no worse than I am. Actually, you're probably worse than I am. Like, sorry, hate to be the person, but like the track record is not great. It's not great. I know very few men that I actually can trust and appreciate their opinion and don't feel like they're trying to be like complete total fucking dicks and just like mansplain everything to me. God, I fucking hate that. I hate that. Like when I was starting the plant business, I posted a picture of me with my biggest plant in my collection. Big Bertha is her name. She's a Monstera deliciosa, and now she's going through a phase right now. She's rehabbing, but at the time she was fucking huge. And this guy comments on my picture and is like, "Oh, did you know that Monsteras can be as big as a tree? Your Monstera isn't half as big as it would be in the woods." Shut the fuck up! Shut up. Nobody said anything about that. Just shut up. Like, as I'm wearing this shirt today, I support a man's right to shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. Why are you talking? Like, why are you even commenting that? Obviously, if I have the point still stands. We're dealing with idiots out here. I'm surrounded by assholes. I feel like Spaceballs, but I really liked Spaceballs. I don't like this. But today, it's about women and it's about enjoying being a woman. So I'm tending to my plant babies. I'm doing some planning for the week. I'm getting ready for a fresh new week, fresh start. And I celebrated my Women's Day by recording this episode, and prior to that I actually watched a couple of different like all women wrestling programs because I was like, no, I'm gonna watch something wrestling related today, but I'm gonna watch something girl wrestling related today. So I ended up watching the first all-woman Royal Rumble, and I had a really good time doing that. It was very nostalgic. I enjoyed that. And like, okay, total sidebar, like, if there was anybody as a young girl who taught me that you could be pretty and also kick ass, it was the WWE women's wrestling division. Like, I looked up to those women so much when I was a little girl. I wanted to be a wrestler so fucking bad. I wanted to be Trish Stratus. Like, I deadass was like, no, I'm gonna be fucking 100% Stratusfaction, man. Like, I wanted to be her so bad. And then I went to my emo phase and I was like, no, I'm gonna be Aida. Oh man, but those women, man, they dealt with some shit and they fucking are still breaking barriers till this day, breaking glass ceilings in their sector of entertainment. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. So shout out to my wrestling girlies. If you're a girl and you watch wrestling, I want to be friends with you, man, because I don't have very many wrestling friends that are also girls. They're all just be friends with me if you're a girl and you like wrestling. I don't want to talk to boys. I don't like them. So if you want to smoke weed and talk about wrestling and make fun of men, you know where I am. And with all this being said, I think that about does it for today's episode. And I want to leave this on a positive note. And I want to give words of advice, words of encouragement to the women, however many, whomever you may be, I want to give you some words of encouragement coming from a woman who's been through quite a bit, seen quite a bit, and I still got some time left to see some more. And considering how much I've seen and the craziness that I have seen, I can only assume there's some shit in store for me. In conclusion, for today's Women's Day Seshisode, keep living, keep taking up space, never stop sharing your stories, never stop teaching the next generation of women that the term womanhood is a subjective term, that our differences might be that they might just be differences between all of us, but every single one of us has one thing in common. We've all experienced a man once telling us we couldn't do it. And whatever it is for you, you can. Take it from the women before you and from me. And know that, bitch, I fucking love you. I love you, bitch. I love you, bitch. I ain't never gonna stop loving you, bitch. So, that about does it for today's episode of Talk a Lot with TokeAlot. This was a kind of impromptu thing. I wasn't anticipating doing this, but I figured, why the fuck not? I have a platform and I'm going to use it. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me yammer today about what it is to be a woman in today's day and age. It's fucking nuts. But if you are a woman and you're listening to this, I love you. And keep shining, keep blazing, stay amazing. I love you so much. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.